Film noir is a uniquely American style of film that was popular during the 1940s and 50s. A lot of the material was based on dime novels, specifically of the roman noir genre, and exhibited stylistic influences from German Expressionism. While it has many distinguishable qualities, it wasn't recognized as a category of its own until the French, upon receiving an influx of American films after World War II, noticed the darker stylistic and thematic trends that many of these American films exemplified. These themes reflected a sense of post-war despair and alienation that was felt in the U.S. at the time, resonating through the dark mood created by low-key lighting, claustrophobic camera work, and other cinematic elements. They also embodied some of the fears that came with the end of the war, such as those involving the changing role of women in society, giving rise to the femme fatale, a common occurrence in film noir. Two subjects that weren't directly addressed in the films of this time were sex and violence, due to the implementation of the Hays Code. But, with the use of careful camera work and double entendre, many filmmakers worked around this hurdle. Film noir came to an end with the onset of a more optimistic outlook toward the future that came with the promise of prosperity associated with industrialization in the late 50s and 60s.
A common setting for a film noir would be a big city, especially at night. Shiny rain-slick pavements, dark alleyways, and sleazy bars are common environments. Many of the films use distinctive high and low angles, low-key lighting, eye light, extreme wide-angle lenses, and location shooting. In fact, the common thread of film noir lighting is low-key lighting, a style called chiaroscuro in the art world, emphasizing shadows and harsh lighting to create a sense of depth and volume in painting. Cinematographers working on film noir were seeking to do the same and create contrast within black and white film. The film Double Indemnity uses a lighting motif conventional to the genre. Venetian blinds and other parts of the sets cast patterned shadows across the scene. Other features and shots found within noir films include obstruction between the audience and a character, minimal movement to increase suspense, and close-ups and silhouettes. In film noir, the most prominent lights are going to be strong keys and backlight. Fill light is not as dominant. As film noir, they want to exaggerate the contrast and get that low-key look. Film noir generally uses hard lights relating to the type of shadows it creates, with hard shadows almost defining the film noir look.
The femme fatale archetype originates in film noir. Literally meaning fatal woman, these female characters represent independence, strength, and desire, a response to the brief destruction of the demure housewife stereotype. They are often used to emphasize the fatalist attitude and that the male characters feel powerless to resist the women. Often the femme fatale will enter a love triangle with a married man. The femme fatale's motivations are purely for personal gain. Most often she will use love as a ruse to lure her male victims into her trap. This female archetype arose from men's fear of the growing independence of women during the time period. The femme fatale's independence, ambition, and duplicity are reflections of this fear. More often than not in film noir, the femme fatale ultimately falls into her own trap for the hero, and usually ends up dying or going to jail for her crimes.
Goodbye, baby.
Male protagonists are often morally ambiguous. They are cynical, brooding, and obsessive. They lead a seamy existence as private detectives, gangsters, or government agents, among others. In film noir, the struggle these characters undergo often ends in failure. Their alienation from society is another characteristic of the noir heroes. The most common male protagonist in film noir is the hard-boiled detective. These hard-boiled heroes are antisocial loners that are subject to existential angst. The environments they live and work in are dark and scary metropolises, often red light districts or otherwise dehumanizing environments, like large, desolate office buildings. They are experiencing anonymity through their large-scale surroundings. The tough guy is often marked by an excellent gift of verbal wit, even if they are not always given the strongest intellect. This is a heritage from the hard-boiled novels. Their worlds are dominated by crime, corruption, and cruelty.
When you're slapped, you'll take it and like it.